This is Duke University.
What is ecotourism? Maybe it's easier if we use this diagram to understand what ecotourism is. This is the whole universe of tourism, all the different activities. Good, bad, all kinds of tourism. Even child prostitution tourism in Thailand, for example, would be in here. All kinds of activities. Okay, and within this great universe of tourism, we have this subset which is called sustainable tourism that has to do with the guidelines of sustainable development. Hopefully in the future, this yellow line will coincide completely with this red line. It is not the case right now. There's all this area here which is not sustainable, unfortunately. And then within sustainable tourism, we have ecotourism. So ecotourism is a part of sustainable tourism. I'll try to define it in a few more seconds. Then there's this gray area, which has different names. It's usually called nature-based tourism, sometimes nature tourism. And it includes different things like adventure tourism, extreme sports, agro-tourism, and sometimes things that have nothing to do with sustainability, like paintball, like going around in a motorcycle in a protected area, which are not sustainable activities, of course. Okay, so the definition of ecotourism, Iucn, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, where I worked a couple of years in their headquarters in Switzerland, defines ecotourism this way. It's environmentally responsible travel and visitation to relatively undisturbed natural areas. I stress the term relatively undisturbed because it's very difficult to find absolutely undisturbed natural areas. In order to enjoy and appreciate nature and any accompanying cultural features, both past and present. For example, archaeological sites are included here, or little villages or local communities with their traditions, with their customs, ceremonies. But, and this is the normative part of the definition, this has to do with, it has to promote conservation, both of the natural heritage and the cultural heritage. It has to have low negative visitor impact, and it has to provide for beneficially active socioeconomic involvement of local populations. It's easy to just comply with the first 5 lines, as Bob was saying. Just go to a beautiful national park or forest. It's more difficult to comply with the last 4 lines. This is my definition, 1993, adopted by Iucn in 1996. A few figures of world tourism, very rapidly. Tourism has become, as you probably all know, the world's most important economic activity. It is now a $3.5 trillion service sector in 2013. These are figures of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Total export earnings generated by international tourism in 2013 reached $1.4 trillion. 2014 figures are not in yet. International tourist arrivals for the first time in history exceeded 1 billion visitors, international arrivals. And this was a 4.7 increase over the previous year. In spite of the crisis going around the world, people keep on traveling. International travelers apparently don't know about the crisis and they're traveling all over the place. Okay, so these are figures of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, 2015. The importance of natural areas. Natural areas, especially legally protected areas, constitute the foremost attraction for tourists around the world. And it's easy to find out why. They give the best guarantee to preserve the natural integrity, the natural heritage of a place, and many times in combination also with cultural heritage elements. So that's why they're so important for ecotourism. Ecotourism is a very important component in protected areas management around the world. And as Bob was mentioning, 23 years ago, people didn't think too much about tourism in protected areas. they had this fortress attitude, keep people out of many protected areas because they're going to be damaging the ecosystem. But that doesn't work. People are entitled to visit, to understand, to study, to enjoy, but of course we have to handle things in a way that we're not going to be damaging the environment, and that is the big challenge. So in my opinion, ecotourism is the only type of tourism that should be allowed in protected areas. So that means that management plans always have to have a very important section on ecotourism, and not just one line or two saying, be a tourist, but be a nice tourist. That's not enough.